Hey entrepreneurs, and welcome to another influencer interview. Today I'm going to be talking to Amy Schmittauer. Amy is a new media triple threat. She is a vlogger, she is a speaker, and most recently, she is an author. She is the author of the book, Vlog Like a Boss, How to Kill It Online with Video Blogging. And you want to stay tuned till the end of this episode because we're going to be giving away her book to one lucky winner. So stay tuned all the way till the end of this episode to hear how to enter our book giveaway for Vlog Like a Boss. So let's start this value-packed episode. Hey, Amy, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Salma. How are you?
So, Amy, I really want to know vlogging, video blogging. Is this the new blogging? Is vlogging the new blog?
Absolutely. I think in a world of visual learners, video is the new blogging. But more importantly, video blogging is super important. A lot of people have been making video for quite some time, but it's the valuable content marketing that's bringing us the attention that we want as brands. And Salma, you know all about that. So yeah, I would say video is the new blogging. Blogging is super important, but even blogs on their own are more valuable with video incorporated in some capacity because search engines do love to see video as a part of that content.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And I was just on Periscope recently. We're talking about how, the live streaming trend is just so huge right now. And I had somebody ask me that, oh, what, you're doing YouTube? Isn't YouTube dead? Isn't that like ages ago? And so I really want to ask you, where does YouTube stand right now? And I know that YouTube has also come out with YouTube Live, but how is it competing with all the live streaming platforms? And how relevant is YouTube in 2017?
So YouTube is so relevant today. And actually, I think all of these other platforms have made it even more so. Instead of killing it, it's actually making it stronger. First of all, YouTube is the second largest search engine, only to adopted mom Google, and it's the third most visited website after Google and Facebook. So that's super massive and really, really important to recognize. The SEO value of YouTube is huge. Search engine optimization, not just because these are some technical marketing and computing terms, but because people go there to find things out or to be entertained or to do these things. So YouTube is super relevant in that capacity because as much as we are stumbling on some really great content on other social platforms, YouTube is where we go when we are intentionally looking for something. And so that's very, very important, where these other platforms, in terms of searching for videos specifically, their search game is totally off and they're just not there yet. So that's making YouTube stronger as well. Live is taking over the internet, which is exciting, but it's also a different kind of video. It's easy to make content immediately because you go live and you talk. You don't have to review it afterward. You can just be done if you want to. A lot of people don't follow the upcycling, procedure that Salma might recommend. They just make live video, and that's really effective, but it's easy to do. You can press the live button, go live, and you're creating content, and it's done. Where produced, edited content, reused later or made into different sort of snackable content later is very different than the live format. Live is better, longer. Some pre-recorded videos are better, shorter. So all of these things are just different. A lot of people aren't thinking about how they are different and think of them all as the same. And that's the biggest mistake you can make in any content marketing, is not thinking about how all of these mediums are different, but even more importantly, how the platforms where they live are different, and that context. What we post on Facebook will not be the same as what we post on YouTube because it's a different experience. So that's why all of these things are still important, especially YouTube, but and everyone needs to consider all of them and the options they have with all of them. It's not about one being greater than the other. It's about the experience being different and where does your message belong in turn.
Okay, I love that you said that. And what I also really want to ask you is, where does, all of this fit in? Like, if you're doing YouTube and you're also live streaming, then does it mean that you're playing the short-term game if you're doing like viral videos and you're doing Facebook? And are you playing the long-term game if you're doing video, if you're doing YouTube? Because, I mean, if you're doing Facebook Lives, for instance, they're chronological and they're going to disappear eventually in somebody's newsfeed, as opposed to if you're making YouTube videos, which are search friendly. So that kind of content could be found, a day, a week, a month, like maybe even a year from now. So it's more evergreen. So would you classify that YouTube is more long term and live videos are perhaps more short term? What's your take on that?
I don't think it's a live pre-recorded distinction.
Right.
YouTube is a long game. YouTube is, it's not like you can't get results quickly.
Right.
It's that your results may last longer. So for example, a video you uploaded 4 years ago, if it's performing well in search, if it's been helpful, if people have searched for it, they found it, they loved it, they liked it, they commented on it, and it continues to get shared, that piece of content can live for you for a long time. I have one tutorial in particular, the most viewed video on my YouTube page, 4 years old. It's mortifying a little bit to look at it. It's like, well, okay, we could have done better because we're better today. But where I was then, I did a good job for people. It's still helping people. It's not only a front page search result for YouTube, it's a front page search result for Google. So that's where a lot of that traffic is coming in. I'm not going to mess with that. I want that thing to live there. That's why it's a long game. Your live videos could do the same thing on YouTube. They will just turn into recorded replays, and they can last for you if you program them appropriately for optimization, or if they still help the experience of your subscribers. So are you in the long game? Yes. But it's because that content will work for you for the long term. It does need a short-term positive, momentous trajectory in order for that to happen, but it will help you in the long term. If you post something on Facebook, it's going to last quite a long time in the Facebook world because that's 24 hours. But if you try to go search for that thing later and it wasn't just shared upon shared upon shared and it's not rising to the top of any feeds anywhere, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find. You can find it. There's probably some video tab that you can check on a page, but it is not the same thing as punching into Google how to do this and knowing you're going to see that same search result that's helped you in the past, or wanting to watch it again, or adding it to a playlist. Like, where are my Facebook, opportunities to do a playlist? It's so confusing there, the way that we are documenting our lives. It's just all over the place. I'm sure they're going to work that out because they want to be a video contender. But you really are looking at a video on a 24-hour, maybe 48-hour trajectory. Unless it becomes a viral sensation, it might last a week or a month. And that is not the same thing as YouTube. So it's a short game, but that doesn't mean that one project can't be a positive thing for you for the long term. You're gaining organic reach. You're gaining an opportunity on a Facebook wall for the next thing to do well. So the pressure is up there to post more regularly, much like anywhere. But yeah, your project on YouTube may last longer, but you're going to have to keep posting in order for that to do well. And on Facebook, it may not last as long, but you've got to keep posting there for everything to do well. So everything's a long game, really.
Right. So it's a trade-off happening. All right. So what would you say to people who make a lot of live videos and then post those up to YouTube? Is the crossover, between doing that, is that a viable strategy?
My only concern with that, it's not a bad strategy. It's just, if it's that cut and dry, you probably didn't do everything you should have done. You should decide, okay, we want to make sure that this is somewhere people can go back and replay it very easily. But if you're using YouTube as a dumping archive, then it is just going to be a dumping archive for you. It's not going to attract views. It's just where you go to upload your latest live video and then leave it there and be like, whatever, YouTube's got our back. YouTube has our back to hold all the content that we make. And then we go work really hard for Facebook and we just dump it over to YouTube, where instead of, how can we make this the best experience for a YouTube audience? If it was live and there was a lot of engagement happening, usually a replay situation isn't going to be that interesting if you spent the entire time dealing with comments and it was not in that format. So how are you making this video interesting to the people that are watching it on a replay if they weren't a part of that engagement conversation? So can you turn a 1 hour live stream into a few 5-minute videos where you said something really strong, or there was a really good point here, or there was an entertaining part here, where we can use that, make that a very focused piece of small content on YouTube that we can then optimize for that thing, and then it lives on YouTube. It's not a bad thing to upload the entire thing there, but remember, it's not the same user experience. If you want to make the most of what you did live, how can you take the best moments and turn it into a killer YouTube video? You have to see the distinction there and make sure you cover those bases. But otherwise, sure, go use YouTube to host all of your old live streams and make sure you don't lose track of them, and you can embed them on your site if you want. But if you just do that, YouTube's not going to do anything for you except for be a video host. And we all know YouTube's way better than that.
Okay, so what I'm really hearing from you is that you can have like a separate YouTube strategy and like a separate live stream strategy. But the other thing that I really like what you said was that you can use your live streams to, you can take chunks out of your live stream and make those into shorter YouTube videos perhaps based on your best performing live streams. So you can actually use your live streams to gauge what's popular, what's trending, what's working, and what's interesting to your audience before you go and make those evergreen videos in YouTube. So live videos could actually be a way of sourcing content, a way of finding out what's your audience really wants to hear from you right now. And in fact, I'm doing the opposite right now, but that's a great strategy. And I might actually go first make a lot of live videos and then take out the best content from there and then make more deep dive educational YouTube videos. What do you think about that?
Exactly. I don't think enough people think about the fact that these opportunities that might be a little bit easier, like a Facebook status update or going live and just talking to people, are amazing opportunities to start a conversation and find out if something's even worth pursuing. Use the live opportunity to say, what's on your mind? Let me answer this question. See if it keeps going deeper and deeper, because if it does and your audience is interested, you can say to yourself, man, this would make for a great tutorial on YouTube, or it might make for a great sort of blog post, long form blog post. Use these easier opportunities to build something out people are already going to like because you tested them. And I actually think that's really powerful for live, because you've got them in the live format. Tell them, ask them real time, what interests you about this? Does this matter to you? Are you even thinking about this? And go into that topic before you waste time on the video that you had to hire somebody to film and get somebody in the editing suite to manage for you, and make sure it's actually something people already asked you for. Much like we have to do with product sales. Are we making sure the audience actually wants to buy this before we spend too many resources on it? So it's the same thing with content, because all of our content is like a mini product of ours.
Yeah, I love that, because you can actually use live videos to vet your ideas. First, use live videos and see what's working and what people are engaging with, and then use that to determine what would work on YouTube as well. So that's great. Okay, so I was reading in your book that you went to YouTube camp. And this was really interesting to me. This was like an aha moment for me, that when you went to YouTube camp, you actually found out that before you went to camp, you were making 3 videos a week. And after going to camp, you discovered that YouTube recommends that the optimal number of videos you should be making is 1 video a week. And so, mind blown. I was like, really? Okay, so how did you take that information, and did you actually cut down production? I know that right now you're back up to twice a week. And so how would you say going forward, what would you recommend to people, and how did it impact your own production schedule? So is it still, recommended to do more videos, or once a week is really the optimal?
Well, and I'm back at 3 days a week. Here's the thing, that's good advice on their part, because it is, again, it's the long game, right? So one piece of content can actually perform really well for you if you put the time and energy in it that it deserves. So that's why they do advise that, because they want someone to have a strong channel, because they want subscribers, they want watch time. They would rather the video be a little bit longer if it means that the audience is going to be retained for that amount of time, it's more time on their platform. But it also means, changing expectations. So for a starter creator, that's really big, because you can just go ahead and go to once a week, because no one knows the difference. No one's been subscribed in some capacity that they are worried about how much they're losing or getting or whatever. Just say, you know what, I'm going to go 1 day a week, and I'm going to go really hard on that 1 day a week. And I actually think that's a positive piece of advice, because most people don't give enough time to marketing their content. They make it, they move on to the next one. They make it, they move on to the next one. And that's not good. If you're forced to do it once a week, and if YouTube says, you know what, that's industry standard, and the best creators wait until that's doing well to bump up. And so if that's the advice you want to take, great. But make sure you spend the rest of that time marketing that thing, and don't just spend all your time creating, because that's where you're going to lose, is just pumping and pumping and pumping out content, but never giving anything the momentum it really needs. So that's really big.
Yeah, actually I agree. And I actually even have a quote from your book which I wrote down, page 134 actually, which says that you should spend more time promoting your video than you did creating it. And so, I mean, what would you say is the ratio between creation and promotion? How much time should you spend creating YouTube videos? And then alternatively, how much more time do you need to spend promoting YouTube videos, and where is the value at over there?
So I'd say it's 3x. I mean, if you spend 3 hours making a video, you should spend 9 hours promoting it, because if you really wanted to get the attention, you spend 3 hours on that thing. Make sure that it's a multiple number of whatever you did, because or decide what it is based on what your learner's curve is for how long it takes you to make a video, because some of us it takes 3 hours and some of us it takes 20. So, we want to be reasonable here. But at the same time, just realize that if you're not setting aside that time, that's all it comes down to. Like, if you're not setting aside that time to do it, it's just not going to go anywhere. On YouTube, people get really, really frustrated because they upload video and nothing happens. Because when you start there, you're literally starting there. It would be the same thing on Facebook if you went to upload a video on Facebook and you had no friends, right? We forget that we spent all this time nurturing those relationships, making friends, joining groups, talking to people, finding all of our friends online and going and checking out their pictures and commenting and liking. We did all that work. So it's not like Facebook is just gifting us views. We have done the work to nurture those relationships to get those views. So it's not the same on YouTube. If you haven't started a presence there and you're just uploading for the first time and there's nothing going on, there's nothing going on. So you have to realize that. And if that's the case, you must market that content, because you have to get the eyeballs over there. Where do you have attention that you can ask people to go over and say, hey, check out my latest video in those first 24 to 48 hours that are the most critical for that content? And so that's what I would advise. That's why marketing is so important. It's not just because we're just saying to do it. You got to do it because you have to prove to YouTube this video is worth them promoting to more people, because they want to. They want a reason for people to stay on their platform more. But if you don't give them the I start sessions card, which means I sent this video out to someone and that someone came to YouTube because of me. I started their session. If you don't prove you start sessions, YouTube's just going to be like, we might not send you that much stuff, because we need people that start sessions, because when someone starts their session, an average viewer is watching YouTube for 40 minutes on average on their phone. So if we can start sessions and we get that activity moving, YouTube likes us, they want to send us more traffic. You have to do the work to get that machine to do that for you. And that means momentum, and that means bringing the eyeballs that you can over to help you build that YouTube presence at the beginning.
Okay, so yeah, I see how this whole once a week thing works out. So you create a great video, and then spend the rest of the 6 days promoting that video, outreach and social media and email newsletter and all the ways that to get the word out about your great video.
And even better, batch record 4 videos a month. So you're not worried about when does marketing stop and when does creation start again? People have a hard time managing that marketing time because they have a hard time managing the creation time. And that's where you end up losing on the marketing side, because you fall behind on creating and you're like, we were late on the video this week. We got to do another one. Batch record and then market your pants off for the rest of the month of all those videos that are rolling out so that you make the most of that time.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I just started to implement this strategy myself. And I mean, previously I used to be spending so much time on scripting and then production and then the edit. And I finally just bit the bullet last month and I started batch recording my videos. In fact, I did 6 videos in a day, which I never really thought I'd be able to do. But yeah, I'm doing it.
I have been there. I remember getting ready for vacations and planning in advance. I've sat down and done 13 videos in one setting before, just because I had to do it. I had to do it. And it's because that's why I don't regret doing 3 days a week. And that's why I still do it today. It's a little bit of a different approach today, because the one video I could be doing a week is the one video I do a week that's a little bit more on the SEO side. And the other 2 are more engagement side, right? Here's a day in the life. And only my subscribers are going to care about that. Nobody new is really going to care about that unless somebody gives them word of mouth. And then another one might be a Q&A. That's very much engagement with the audience. So that's how I make the most of 3 days a week. But if I wouldn't have done 3 SEO-rich videos a week for 3 years, I wouldn't have the platform I have today. So that's why I don't necessarily regret it. But I'm also a marketing machine. So I wasn't just posting a video and then going back to work. I was posting a video, marketing, working, the clients, marketing, clients, marketing. You have to do it all, especially when you're a business owner. And so I just figured out my balance for that.
Yeah, hustle. All right, so this actually brings me really amazingly to the next point that I wanted to ask you, which is in your book, you talk about buckets of content, right? How to theme your topics or how to format your topics around, different themes so that you have ideas generated before you even start production. So it's not like on the day of production you're thinking, oh, what am I going to say? But you've already placed your content in buckets or themes or core ideas, and you just need to produce that now. So I wanted to ask you that in the book you give an example of healthy eating buckets, right? And you show how to use the buckets in that particular industry. So do you think you could give up maybe another example from a different industry, like, I don't know, maybe real estate?
I'm so glad you said that because I was just working on buckets this morning for a real estate speaking engagement that I'm doing. So that's top of mind. That's very simple. If you are a real estate agent, the last thing you want to be doing is talking about the product all the time. That's what every real estate agent does. That's the worst idea you could have. I actually remember a successful blog, not even vlog, but blog. I think it was out of Seattle. And it was, no, you know what? It might have been a video blog now that I'm thinking about it. But there was a real estate agent out of Seattle that did something along the lines of 365 things to do in Seattle. And it was a blog post every day of something to do in Seattle. Now, you might make that sound like, that sounds very like travel. So maybe a travel agency should do that or something else. But no, you know what happened? So many people maybe were traveling there or came there a lot for work. And maybe they were coming there so much for work, they were getting transferred there, had to buy a house. Now they're looking at a real estate agent's website all the time because they're trying to find 365 things to do in Seattle. Is the city even worth entertaining, right? That's a great example. Right. The buckets I came up with this morning for, let's say, a real estate agent would be, are you the expert on the city? Be the expert on the city. Talk about all the amazing things about your city. It can be the neighborhood, but I actually think you should go a little bit bigger and think city and what's great about living here? What do we think about? What are the things that you're known for? What are the places you must go to? Be the city expert. That's one bucket. The second bucket is to get back into your products a little bit, but not too much. Give home buying tips. What should you be doing when you go to tour a home, or what should you not be doing when you're reaching out to the other real estate agent? Do you even need a real estate agent? A lot of people think, oh, I'll just go approach the selling agent and we can share the agent and I think we might get a deal that way. It never happens like that. You need to get your own agent. So an agent should explain why that is important. And then, so those are home buying tips. That's a second bucket. A third bucket, what was the third bucket that I came up with? Oh, home improvement tutorials. If I was a real estate agent, I would be going to Lowe's Facebook page because they have a killer tutorial video plan on their Facebook page, or to maybe even Home Depot's YouTube channel. Home Depot has an amazing YouTube channel. And I would look up their tutorials and I would say, what's something someone could do in 5 minutes? I'm going to do 5-minute home improvement project tutorials on my channel. That's a third bucket. Then you've got SEO rich tutorials that you can do. So now you're helping people make their homes better. You're helping them choose the city they want to live in, and you're going to be their real estate agent when they decide to buy in it, and you're going to help them when they're going to buy that home because they trust you with the advice that they're giving you. Now you have 3 buckets. Every time you come up with a video idea, it goes in one of those buckets, and you schedule when those buckets occur. So it's not like, oh, I just came up with a video idea, I'm going to go do it right now. Right. It's, I came up with an idea, I'm going to put it where it belongs on the editorial calendar so we keep the flow, and we've got regular content and they're all a little bit different, but I'm the city expert. I'm going to help you fix something in your house in 5 minutes, and I'm going to teach you how to buy a house the right way. And that's how you bucket content as a real estate agent. You've got to get out of the mindset of everybody wants to see what the inside of that house looks like. Nobody cares what the inside of that house looks like if they don't know you exist and they don't know if the home exists. You have to get on their radar for what they care about right now.
I love that because A, it's so strategic, and B, you're actually taking your content and going through a customer's buying journey and envisioning that buying journey and what content they need at each stage of the journey. So, you know, they're thinking about moving to a new city, then they're thinking about buying a home in that new city, then they're thinking about, you know, home maintenance and repair and fixing up that home or decorating that home. And so it's a very logical progression of how somebody would actually buy a house or move to a new neighborhood, and what are the things that they're going to be thinking about at each stage of that. So I mean, it's literally the video content funnel or the content marketing funnel, you know, each stage of the journey, and then what video will go along at each of those stages. So I love that. I love that. It is so strategic and so useful and so complementary and logical to how someone would actually approach you know, buying a house. So thank you so much for that. And I want to ask you about something else that you mentioned in your book about mentoring. And I love how you said that, you know, Gary Vee is your mentor, but you never reached out to him. You're like, oh, mentor me, please, Gary. Like, you never actually said anything of the sort to him, right? Instead, you used all of his advice that he gives out for free, his daily videos, his Ask Gary Vee sessions, all of his books. You bought his books, you listened to his advice, you paid attention to what he was saying, and you went ahead and you implemented all of that advice. And I love that because it flips the head on how we think about mentorship. A lot of people look at it from a perspective of entitlement, that, oh, I need to go and find a mentor or like a series of mentors, and how do I do that, and how do I approach people and ask them to mentor me, versus what you did is just use the free advice and the amazing quality of advice that mentors like Gary Vee are putting out there, and start to implement that, and that will get you noticed faster and possibly grow your business, you know, further than maybe even a one-to-one mentorship with such a person would do. So I want to ask you, what is your take on mentorship today? If someone were to get started with business and they want to maybe, you know, catch the attention of somebody or be mentored by somebody, how should they approach it? What should they do? Should they just immediately start applying the advice and then tell the person about it? Should they reach out in some way? How should they communicate with the mentor, or even find mentors? What would be your best advice on that?
I never reached out to Gary and said I was stuck. And I've been stuck before. We've all been stuck before. So the key thing here is, this is a really specific example, and I'm fortunate that Gary posts a video every single day and he's constantly putting out content. There is no one in their right mind, in my personal opinion, is asking Gary to mentor them, because he literally puts it out every day for free, never asks for money. He sells a book every few years and you buy a $30 book. Who cares? It is totally free. That's a special example. There may not be someone in your industry that is doing the same thing that can inspire you that way or tell you what to do the right way. He has his own search engine. Like, that's crazy. This is a very special example. I do get stuck though, I know that I'm doing something wrong and I need to correct, right? It's the definition of insanity. If you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, you're not going to. It's just not good news for you. So change it up. Anytime I'm stuck, I just change it up. Now, if I can go and seek out a mastermind group of people where I can provide value and we can start asking questions and see who's been in this case and do they know what I should be doing because they made these mistakes before, or they've already been through it and I can ask them, then awesome. But if you want to reach out to a mentor and you know that person is probably going to be really hard up to say yes, and you've got to prove yourself, the first words out of your mouth should be the furthest thing from "will you be my mentor?" or I'm in so much trouble, I need help. Nobody wants to sign on for that. Somebody wants to say, let me take you under my wing. They don't want you coming and grabbing onto their pant leg and saying, please help me. Stop saying that. Like, just stop saying that, because it's not helping anyone. You're literally saying, I need to ask you lots of questions and I have no intention at this moment to give you value. It may be because you assume that there's no value to give, but you should stop assuming that. Because the first thing that you should be doing is finding out what matters to them. I mean, we have the internet today. If you can't figure it out, they must not use it. So, okay, then we've got a different problem. But in most cases, we can go find out details about somebody pretty quick. Whether it's a LinkedIn resume or Facebook friendship, we can find out what matters to them, what they love. And it doesn't even matter what it is. I think you can see someone likes a specific kind of bottle of wine because we post everything we eat and drink on social media these days, and send them that bottle of wine and say, hey, I saw that you like this and I just want you to have this. If you ever have 5 minutes to chat on the phone, I'd love to introduce myself. That's a much easier thing to do than please be my mentor, please answer my letters and phone calls. And then you've got to get your foot in the door. When you get that 5-minute call, you should be saying, what's bothering you today, or what can I do to help you? I just find so much value in what you think and what your experience has been, and I know I could learn from it, but how can I get us started on that by me doing something for you? Do you need your dog walked today? It doesn't even matter what it is. No one thinks like that these days. They think everything is owed to them, that they're entitled to it because it's already out there. So instead of being appreciative for the fact that it's already out there, we're going after people and saying, you should give this to me, you owe this to me. So my thought is, if you're stuck, try something else, and then try something else, and then keep trying something else, and ask anybody who might have some thoughts on it, what they think or why this is happening to you. And don't be afraid to ask for that help. Everyone struggles with that in some capacity, especially me. But you have to be able to ask for that help. Just think, who else could I ask right now? Right? So here's a really good example. What if the mentor was actually an investor, and you're going to an investor and saying, will you please invest in my company? And it's like the dream investor for a lot of money. What's the first thing they ask you? Who else has invested in you? Who else has given? Even just a little bit. How much little bit of money can you say someone has invested in you already? So I know I'm not the first one getting on board.
Right.
As a mentor, I would want to know the same thing about you. Who have you already asked? Who has already been helping you? How many options have you been through before you got to this point where you're asking me to take my time to help you, and I'm not really sure who you are or what you do yet, and I'm working on that? Why? Tell me why. And I think that you should start thinking of it that way. People need to know that you really have tried everything, and not that you're looking for a free ticket to success.
Okay, so you went from being a vlogger to an author. Now I want to just get inside your brain and understand why you decided to do that. So you're vlogging 3 times a day, everything's great, you're like the video marketing queen. There's all of this activity happening on video, and then you decide to turn to print. You want to write a book suddenly. So what was the mind shift that took you there, where you thought that writing a book is going to be the right thing to do right now? Was it some kind of a strategic decision? So explain to me how do you go from being a vlogger to an author? What was the spark that set you off on this journey? Like, what happened? What happened to tell you that, oh, I have to write a book right now?
Okay, so I love a challenge, but that wasn't what it was. It wasn't like, I'm going to go conquer this mountain called authorship. I think I've always wanted to write a book. I did not anticipate it at this point in my career at all, because it wasn't a transition from vlogger to author. It was a transition from vlogger to speaker, and from speaker to author.
Oh, the triple thread. I love that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna proclaim that, because I did all this stuff, but it was really, the crazy thing that was happening was being a video blogger, and then people wanted me to speak. And I'm like, why do you think I can speak? Just because I sit in a bedroom and I talk to a camera? Like,
okay, so hang on here. So vlogger, YouTuber, speaker, and author. That is like, you're dropping like this value bomb on people here. You're covering all of new media.
Here's the thing. Like, I think that is because I've learned how to communicate over a period of time, and each of those took their own education. Just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're good at another one, which is why I thought it was crazy that people were like, you should speak because you make great YouTube videos. I still had to learn how to be a presenter, and I'm still learning a lot in that respect, quite a bit. I'm very fortunate that I can get up on stage and not have my knees knocking and nervous, and I can talk really intelligently. But that took some time, right? So that happened. And then, getting off stage and having the opportunity to empower somebody for an hour as they sit in this audience and they're like, wow, I didn't know the opportunity with video blogging. I didn't know the opportunity with social media, or whatever the case may be. And I encouraged them to get started with it from the stage, and they're ready to get started. And they walk up to you and they say, where's your book? Because I'm ready for the thing that's going to help me take that next step. As a speaker, not having a book was just a fundamental disconnect, because people still like to read books. People still like to have that guide. to open up and take a look at and say, am I on the right track here? And I didn't have that to offer. And in my opinion, because I chose a great medium, which is video, and it's great for me today in 2017, good for me. But I can't decide the medium across the board. If someone says, hey, I know you make videos, but I need you to write a book about making videos so that I can learn how to make videos because I like to read books. You know what? Fine. So that's why I wrote the book. It's because I proved people wanted it first. I didn't sit down and write it just because I thought I deserved to write a book and have my name on the front of it. Right. I wrote it because people asked me for it. And now it's an opportunity for me as a speaker to be able to spread my message even further after we've had a 1-hour rally session of me going, you should do this. Now I can give you the practical guide on how to do it.
What I really love about this strategy is that you're implementing 3 different communication styles. I mean, vlogging is completely different from writing, which is completely different from speaking. So, I mean, once you've mastered one communication style, you've moved yourself on to mastering a completely different communication style. I mean, I love how this works out, at least in theory, that, you move up and that's just one way of leveling up and moving up. All right, so another question I just wanted to really quickly ask you was about tools to use in video production. And I don't want to go into like the gear. I mean, I know you talk about like the fear of gear in your book, so I don't want to get like too technical, but I do want to know what, for example, would be the top 3 tools that you would recommend for vloggers or video production, video creators to use. Anything that stands out really to you, something that you would highly recommend, maybe like your top 3?
You need a smartphone, and hopefully the smartphone has internet, and you have an app store, and you can download whatever you need there. If you want to record on your phone, you can do that. You can edit on your phone if you really want to. You can upload from your phone, and you don't even have to edit on the phone. You can upload to YouTube and use YouTube's editor. You don't even need to have software. Let's go one further. Do you have Snapchat? Snapchat is jump cutting for the average user. It literally took what all the video bloggers did in 2006, 2007, all the way to today on YouTube, and they gave it to the average user in an app. And YouTube has definitely sort of like deformalized, I think, what a traditional jump cut is. I think what I call it is you never hear me breathe. Essentially, like, I'm not going to waste any time while you're watching this video. I'm going to cut every single important point together. What's funny is everybody sort of has their different opinion on that. There might be people that are like, oh, I feel like it's less authentic, so I don't want to do it for myself. That's fine. I do it for my stuff to be short and sweet, and sometimes it's comedic timing, and that's it. I leverage that tactic, but they gave that ability to the average user in Instagram stories and Snapchat stories, because you do need to change up the perspective really frequently to keep people's attention today. We do not have an attention span anymore. So you can record a 10-second clip with your Snapchat story, but then you have to move on to the next thing because you've maxed out on time. That's actually an important thing for you to leverage, because you don't want to keep droning on for too long because people will stop paying attention. So I actually really love the idea of, if someone's just getting started and they're nervous and they don't want to have to go buy stuff and they're like, an editor? No, don't let all that stuff stop you. Don't worry about what stuff you need. If you have a video camera and that thing is attached to a phone, you're set. Just start vlogging on Snapchat or Instagram or go live on Facebook. You do not need anything to get started other than that. And when you're ready to go next level and say, oh, I just did a great live stream, now I want to turn that into 5 different videos on my YouTube channel, now I need a video editor, go figure it out. But don't get something until you know you need it, because that's how you're going to make the most out of your dollars every time. And you just don't need it to get started today, period. Some of the best viral videos were on a phone, most of them vertical.
All right, and just as we're wrapping up, so I actually polled my community and asked them, I did a very last minute, hey, I'm interviewing Amy today. Do you guys have any questions for her? And so, some people sent in questions, and so I want to ask those from you as well. So Sonia Harris wrote in, and she said, how is bringing Vincenzo on your daily vlogs changed your viewership and overall type of persona about who is watching now versus when you were single? And does that affect your business? And for people who don't know, Vincenzo is your fiancé. So how has that affected your vlogging business?
Well, it adds a little bit of humanity, and more ladies are watching now. But that's who I've always targeted. It's just that in the business world, and that's where much of my videos are being watched, it's very male dominant. So we're seeing a little bit more of a balance, and we're more moms who maybe are starting a business from home, or more females, period, who are thinking about it. So that's definitely increased from what I've noticed. More importantly, it's made me more human to people, because, you know, with the girl standing in front of a camera, in front of a bookshelf, and jump cutting herself so she doesn't breathe, it can come off a little bit not human sometimes, but I'm just trying to deliver. So that's the priority that I took. Now, and here's the distinction. I think people like to say, I'm just going to share my life and I'm going to become a viral sensation because I'm funny and I have a great life, and everyone's going to think it's so entertaining, and they fail because they don't stick with it and they don't see the results they want. And the reason why that wouldn't have, I did do this a little bit before, but it's not like it took off or anything. The reason why people care now is because I delivered value before I was like, you should care what my day looks like.
Great. All right. So my next question is from Chrissy, who asks, can you vlog for a living? If so, what are some examples of income streams from vlogging?
I'll answer this one really quick. You can, absolutely, but you can't put all your eggs in the advertising basket, because a lot of people make that mistake, and it's a long road to being able to work for yourself on that dime. So that's one opportunity, though. Google does pay its creators, and that's why they have a huge upper hand today. Do you have the attention of a specific audience? Are you staying targeted? How can you leverage sponsors to come on board with you for that? Can you not maybe get a sponsor, but maybe be able to recommend a product based on affiliate? You know, recently I wanted to let the person that created the music platform that I love, I wanted to talk about them to my audience, but they don't do sponsorship. So we said, do you do an affiliate program? So that whenever we send someone over, we can make money from that. They said yes. That's easier for them because they don't have to put up any money yet, especially if they're not quite sure about you yet, and they want to see how the partnership would go.
Right.
You have to think about who is your audience, what would matter to them. It's not just about you making money. You're only going to make money if you're actually serving them. So if you want to bring people on board to help fund your cause, how are they involved? I'm getting ready to sign a 2017 partnership deal on a company that just wants to invest in my brand because it's a perfect tie-in to what I do, and I'm going to promote them and they're going to promote me, and we're going to have an amazing opportunity to bring each other some business. And that takes time. I've been working with them for a number of years and done smaller projects and doing things that proved to them that I'll do the work and I'll bring them value, so that now they're like, what can we do? How can we be involved? That's a privilege. You've got to work up to that.
Awesome. Great answers. So my third and last question from my community is from Brad, who is asking, hey, Amy, for someone who's hesitant to get started, do you recommend a document, don't create strategy like Gary Vee says, or should you have key content pieces to start with? And I love this question from Brad as well, because document, don't create is one of the strategies that Gary Vaynerchuk has been recommending quite a lot for people who are hesitant or they don't know what to say, and like just document your business and your process. I would love to know what you think about that.
Yes, but I've also planned like a trajectory for myself, right? Like at first I started with social media advice because people weren't ready for video advice, but I set myself up to be the video expert because I did it with video. So now I'm the video expert. And now I'm going into a more build the life you want personal branding space. So that's another reason why YouTube is crushing it for me, because look at all those archives I built, and I can still take my brand wherever I want. I'm not going to have someone come to me and be like, oh man, I heard you were really good at video, but all I'm getting is this advice on how I can start my own business or how I can work for myself or whatever. They're never going to say that to me, because all they have to go do is use the little magnifying glass, search for the information they want, and it's in my archives, because I have all of that stuff working for me from my career to help me get to a point of a different trajectory later on. So you should think about document, period, because this is a very show to tell, not just tell type of video landscape that we're in today in 2017. So documentation in telling what the message is much more effective, especially in a place like Facebook, where you have to like do something crazy on the newsfeed to get people pulled in. On YouTube, at least all I have to do is have a great thumbnail and a headline. It's a totally different experience. You have to show to tell, but think about how that can be SEO rich and how you can balance that with the get to know me stuff.
Awesome, Amy. It was so much fun having you here. And I hope that Vlog Like a Boss does amazingly well. We do have a book giveaway coming up. Everybody says stay tuned. I'm going to tell you the rules of the contest in just a bit. But Amy, have a great year. Have a great the rest of 2017 with your new media triple threat, vlogging, speaking, and success with your book. And thank you once again so much for being here and giving us all this great knowledge. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me, Salma. This is great.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Amy Schmittauer, the Vlog Boss. Her book is called Vlog Like a Boss, How to Kill It Online with Video Blogging, and you can win a free copy. So stay tuned. Here are the contest rules to win a copy of this book. The first thing you need to do is in the comments below, answer the question, what is your single biggest challenge in creating online videos? In the comments below, answer that for me, please. The thing number 2 you have to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. What? You're not subscribed already? Come on, hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell notifications so that you know every time I put out a new video or go live. Thing number 3 you have to do is get on my email list. So that's salmajafri.com/subscribe. That's how I'm going to be contacting the winner. All right, so quickly recap. 3 things you have to do. In the comments below, write down your number 1 online video creation challenge. 2, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, Salma Jafri Media, and hit the bell notifications to get notified when new videos go up. And number 3, get on my email list so I can notify you when you win Amy's book, Vlog Like a Boss. See you next week, and I'm gonna be answering all your questions and looking forward to seeing all of your comments down below. See you, bye. So we're at the end of the interview. Any parting advice for would-be video creators?
Would-be? You're already behind. You should have got started while we were talking. Go talk to your smartphone. Look at the lens like it's a person. Name the person. It could be any name that you think of. Just give the person you are doing this for a persona, talk to them, and deliver.